All right. Yeah. Hello and welcome to an episode of the Conover, the convention review podcast on Mission Star Podcast website. We are sitting here tonight. It is July 14th. I am 6 days away from driving myself insane for 5 days in San Diego. But we are here not for that gigantic megalith. We're here for the other one that California likes to try to host, the Anime Expo 2016. I am Jeremy from the Rolling 20s podcast, and I sit here with one of our photographers, Alex.
Hello.
Anthony is usually supposed to run this, but he is in the midst of something involving Evo, possibly in Vegas. He might be lost in the lap of a stripper, for all I know. So I have been giving hosting duties for the evening, and he might regret this by the time we're done.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he will regret this by the time we're done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Rin is indisposed at the moment, so hopefully he'll be able to turn his report separately. But Alex and I were at Anime Expo 2016, held at the Los Angeles Convention Center, July 1st through 4th this year. And give me your initial opinions, Alex, because people have heard my voice ad nauseum.
My initial opinion of AX is Jesus fucking Christ, find somewhere bigger.
Okay, everybody on Facebook just turned off the podcast.
I mean, that's pretty much all you really need, let's be honest. It was over 100,000 unique visitors. There was not enough room for everybody there. End of discussion.
Crowding was a serious problem. I think it says a lot that I've done this convention for 25 years of its current existence. I think it's on its 27th year, right?
Oh, God, something like that. I can find out real quick if we want.
No, I ain't that interested. Basically, I've only missed 2. And out of all of them, it has never taken me more than an afternoon to walk the dealer's hall. It took me 3 days to actually finish the entirety of the hall. And I still feel like I missed something for some reason.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. It is this year was the 24th.
24th.
No, wait,
okay,
no,
so
25th year. Sorry, today was the 25th year, or this year was the 25th, so next year will be the 26th.
Okay, so I've been to 23 of these things, which is an interesting yet almost pathetic statistic in a certain way.
That's a lot of your life.
Yeah, it really is. But I'm in agreement with you, man. The LA Convention Center, when they thought they hit like 80,000 people, felt like it was already being strained rather heavily without using all the building. Now they say they have 100,000, and I read the press release. I've always been kind of skeptical just based on the size of the building that could ever hold 100,000 people, frankly.
Well, so here's the thing. They're not actually saying there was 100,000 people that went through and were actually inside the convention at any one point. They're just saying that they sold a unique number of badges.
I see.
So there could be 8 people who bought a badge and never showed up. There could be 100,000 people that bought a badge and never showed up. They'd still say the exact same number.
I wonder how many of those could have been guests and or staffers.
See, that's the thing, too. I never know if they actually count those numbers. Like, is this literally just we are buying this for the general public, or are they going to count, like, my press badge, the staff badges, all of this stuff? Mm-hmm.
I know Comic-Con does count the guests and the professionals, but they're very honest about it.
Yeah, they'll tell you, like, they sold X amount of general admission ones, and then they'll give you, like, the full numbers as well. So yeah. Comic-Con's very upfront about their numbers, and if you've ever been to San Diego Comic-Con, you know that they're not lying about those numbers.
You know, and a lot of the times it's arguable that you can't really compare Comic-Con to Anime Expo. After this year, I think the comparisons really need to be made because something needs to be brought into focus for the convention. Anime Expo specifically always seems to have these lofty goals and ideas, but they never seem to prepare for those lofty goals. It's like they're always prepared for what happened last year, but what happened this year always seems to take them by surprise in certain degrees.
Oh, God, I have a perfect example of that.
Go ahead.
So if you were actually at it, or if you paid any attention whatsoever really to the artist community, you heard about how Artist Alley and the tabletop gaming, which I'll come to why tabletop gaming doesn't even need to be there later, but Artist Alley was actually put downstairs in a parking lot.
Yeah, Kenta Hall is a dual-purpose parking lot and supplemental exhibition hall, but it's one of those things where unless somebody puts down carpet, you are staring at parking lines.
It was a parking lot. Let's be honest. They lined up a bunch of tables inside of a parking lot this year.
See, I would argue with you there because I was in there for a few minutes, and that was not a parking lot. That was a sauna.
Yeah, there is that too. That's the other part I'm going to bring. I was going to kind of just slowly segue into, but we're just going to jump straight into it. Screw it. It wasn't just so much a sauna as it was an oven. They claimed that they were going to have AC running. They did not have AC running for the vast majority of the day. From what I understood, the AC ran from about 10 a.m. to noon or 1 p.m., which is not nearly long enough because it doesn't close down till 6 p.m. or something like that. So there's 5 hours of, you know what, let's be conservative. We'll say 5,000 people in a small enclosed space.
Okay.
We're going to say conservatively, it was only 5,000 people that ever entered there on a single day.
Right, but does that 5,000 people include the people that were in the gaming section or just the artist section?
Oh, no, everything.
Okay.
Everything. So that number is probably off. There are probably a lot more people than that because with tabletop gaming and people going in and out of the artist alley, let's be honest, you probably had a lot of foot traffic through there. But
I wasn't. You sound like you spent a lot of time in there. How much time accumulated
I did not spend time in there. I've talked to a lot of my friends who are artists who booked tables for this and got their opinions. So I'm kind of speaking with secondhand knowledge here. But these are all people I trust. I mean, I've looked at a lot of the reports that are coming out online from other websites that have put things out there explaining what happened. And it was bad to the point where they had EMTs in there to help people out.
Wow. Okay. Because, I did spend time in Artist Alley just to check it out on day 3 when I finally finished the dealer's hall. And the total amount of time I spent there was 6 minutes. Because, the front door to Kensha Hall, they're underneath the South Hall stairs?
Yeah.
I went in through there, and even though I was shuffling in line to get in, the same line kept shuffling into the entrance to the hall. I followed it around to where Artist Alley was. I saw wall-to-wall bodies that made San Diego look comfortable by comparison, and so I just kept shuffling along the side of the hall until I got to the exit on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dearth of the time I spent there. I really didn't feel comfortable down there whatsoever.
Yeah. So one thing too that I've been getting a lot of feedback from that are saying is they feel that tabletop gaming just took up way too much room for where it was, and which is an interesting thing for me to think about.
I would say that's true actually, because in the time I was down there, tabletop gaming it's a lot like art tables in high school. Those long, 4 by 2 foot tables. The same ones that wrestlers generally put themselves through.
Yeah, or if you've ever been to a picnic at a park and somebody brought that collapsible table, you know what it is.
Yeah, people sitting next to each other, you can generally sit about 8 to a table in a row or as part of a row. And I think you'd be lucky if you saw 3 people at a particular table. It was really sparse down there, and this was midday on Sunday. This should have been a really busy day.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, even Saturday, which there should have been a ton of people in the convention. There should have been a ton of people in the tabletop area if people were actually going to be there for it. There wasn't the foot traffic for it.
No, there wasn't. It was really bizarre. Well, since we didn't spend a lot of time there, let's move real quickly to the hotels, because the first thing generally everybody does when they get to a convention is check in somewhere. Where did you stay during the weekend?
I actually stayed with a friend in the JW Marriott.
Okay. First question, how was the hotel overall?
Hotel overall was nice. I stayed there last year as well, for those who don't know. The JW is very nice. Last year was the first year they did this, and they started to do it this year and then kind of backed out at the very last minute. The JW has this weird idea that they can make their hotel guests wear these little wristbands to prove that they actually are allowed to be in the hotel.
So they actually did do that somewhat there, because I was at the Residence Inn, which supposedly had the same policy, but I never saw anything. Not one hint of a wristband anywhere.
Yeah, so last year they actually gave you the wristbands. They told you had to wear them. Me and everybody in my room, because I had more than the 4 people that are supposed to be in the room and only are allowed 4, but none of us wore it the entire time. And there were so many people coming in and out of that hotel, going up to rooms, coming out of rooms. There was no way to enforce it. And even if you did enforce it, if they had stopped me and said, hey, you're not allowed to be here, I was the paying guest. I was the only person that paid for that room. I was the only name that was officially on that room. They're not going to be able to kick me out. Mm-hmm. And they have no way of proving, hey, or just saying hey, you have to get out. If they just kick you out, well, there's all my money back, and you really screwed up, because now that's going to be reported to the convention and all this kind of mess is going to happen.
Yeah.
So this year, from what I understand, they were going to do it, but they never actually gave anybody the wristbands, especially after last year when somebody decided to print out a bunch of copies of the wristbands and just started handing them out to everybody, basically flooding counterfeits into the market and making the wristbands completely useless.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. How was the staff? It's been a few years since they've treated me right out there, so I've avoided the hotel.
Yeah, the JW actually was pretty good. Last year we had an issue where they told us they didn't have any additional blankets, they didn't have any additional pillows, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This year, we asked for a rollaway to be put in our room.
Mm-hmm.
Did not happen. Not the end of the world though. They had extra blankets, they had extra pillows. The second night when we asked for more blankets because somebody in our room decided to keep it cold as the seventh circle of hell.
Hey, I only did that twice.
Well, this year when we asked for the second night, they're like, "Oh, well, we don't have any like real blankets, so we're kind of just give you something that we have." And it was like, everybody knows that scratchy pink blanket that's always in your friend's like your friend's parents' closet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the one you hate to use, but you always get.
The one that you hate to use, but you always get, and it's either, okay, I'm going to freeze or I'm going to be super uncomfortable while I sleep. Well, the blankets were very similar to that they gave us on the second night we asked.
Okay.
So it was
somebody
tolerable.
went to Target.
Yeah, so it was tolerable. I mean, I'm the one that drew the short stick, and I had to sleep with it, so I stole a sheet off the bed and just used that to like create a layer between me and the blanket. But it worked. It was warm at least.
All right. I stayed across the street at the Residence Inn, and I've talked about it in previous conventions because every time I go to LA, I prefer to stay at this hotel. You know, it's not just the kitchenette with a full-size fridge that I can pack with whatever the hell I want. It's also the staff. They are so damn nice out there. It's almost disturbing. When I came through, it's like two people up front. They both said, "Hey, you're back. How you doing? What are you here for?" Which is
wait a minute. Time out. They actually recognized you on sight.
Oh, dude, it's happened every time I've been back since it's like the first time I've stayed there. I think 3 years ago.
I'm not going to say that you've stayed there way too many times, but
no, but I always stay with a group of people. They know that. They know that I'm always around just saying hi to everybody. They know that I do my best to keep things clean. And I've met the sales staff a couple times just talking to them about different stuff. So
they're like, hey, wait, Jeremy's going to be here. Oh, my God, we're going to have lots of people. Yes.
I'm sure it's also that, hey, Jeremy's going to be here. He usually has like 4 or 5 rooms and he pays in cash. Holy no. You know? So... yeah, the staff just always makes everything memorable. Whenever I have an issue, they usually solve it within minutes. Mm-hmm. And my issues are minor issues. You know, I'm out of towels or something in the room isn't quite working right or I need a can opener. And they bring it right up. You know, it's not a big deal for them. At least it never feels like one.
They give you a can opener?
Yeah.
I would have to literally threaten to kill somebody if I wanted to get a can opener in the hotel. Like, literally, it'd be like, look, if you don't bring me a can opener, I'm going to take this maid and throw it out the fucking window.
Well, that's how well stocked the kitchen is. It has place settings for 4. It has a few basic utensils so you can do some minor cooking. You know, you're not going to make flambe or anything. Hey, dude, you know, you made your decisions. But, you know, usually there's a can opener in each of the rooms. So I brought like some tuna and some chicken. I was making like my own chicken salad and stuff. And, you know, I got into the drawer where it usually is. And instead there's this weird device that is basically made to open wine bottles. So I called down and just said, are you not giving out can openers anymore? Oh, no, sir. Well, okay, there's this thing in here I don't recognize. There's no can opener. Well, that's unusual. We'll bring one right up.
That's amazing service. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, dude, they're awesome. It's one of those cases. You know how most hotels, when you ask for a luggage cart, they have somebody go with you all the time. It's like a liability thing.
Oh, yeah. They're like, well, he's going to ride it through the freaking walkways or the hallways. And, no,
right.
I'm not. I just want my freaking luggage, man.
I don't know if it's the hotel or if it's just because, again, they recognize me. But when I just said, I need a luggage cart, all of a sudden they just said, hang on. They rolled one out and just said, do you mind loading this? No. Okay, fine. Are you going to treat me like an adult? Awesome.
I get to be an adult today.
But no, they're always super nice out there. And the only complaint I've got about the hotel, and it's just a personal thing, is there's no hot tub there. You know, when you're walking for... I know. When you're walking 6 or 7 miles a day, it's not really a thing where you need one, but it's kind of nice to be able to soak your feet in hot water afterwards.
You got a tub, right?
Yeah.
Use the freaking tub in the room. Come on.
I have roommates every year, man. I'm not going to spend half an hour just soking my dogs when people need to pee.
Tell them to deal with it.
Which reminds me, you know, day 0. No, day 1. Day 1 of the convention, I had a faux pas.
Uh-oh.
You know how modern hotel rooms, for some reason, nobody puts locks on doors anymore?
Oh, God, you didn't knock, did you?
Oh, no, I waited. I waited. See, it's one of those things where the door slides on casters, right? Just that nouveau riche thing. And I was in a room with this British guy named Ashley, his girlfriend Tara. She was in the shower for a good 25 minutes, and I was waiting to go for at least 12 of those. And she came out, she was fully clothed and everything. She went in, and as soon as she went out, I went in. I sat down, and not 2 minutes goes by, I'm sitting on that bowl. All of a sudden, the door slides open, and I'm looking her in the face and just said, hey, Akibado. And
like, hey.
She squeaks and slams that door. And for the whole weekend, her boyfriend and her friends are giving her crap about it. And I'm the one that afterwards, I walk into the second room in our suite. She's hiding behind the bed, and I just said, Tara, you okay? Did it burn? I'm the one that's treating it like it's no big deal, and she's looking at me like this great hairy beast, that he just found in this weird cave.
By the way, I absolutely hate the fact that the doors just slide, because there's always that crack I feel like somebody can just watch me through.
The simple rule for me is when the door is closed, don't go near it. And it was something I said pretty clearly as soon as everybody moved into the room. But unfortunately, I guess she was under the inkling that there's no way somebody would have slipped in there in the couple minutes I've been out. So she just opened the door.
Well, she learned her lesson, didn't she?
Yeah. I think she lost some eyesight too. But that's a whole different issue. Let's see. Los Angeles as a venue, such a mixed bag of issues. There's things really great about it, and then there's things just totally awful about it.
Yeah, I mean, as a photographer, it's kind of the same thing as well. I would really, really wish that we had better off-site areas to shoot without having to pile everybody into an Uber or something and cart them all there. But that's just not going to happen.
Oh, there is a little bit of an advantage to the hotels for the convention being as badly spread out as they are, because there's some really good off-site venues on the north end near the Bonaventure. I did the X-Men shoot out there, and everybody was raving because I had 6 individuals that looked like they were in 6 different locales.
Yeah.
They were all in simple walking distance. But if they weren't already staying at the Bonaventure, that would have been a hard conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I had some friends that were, I think, the Doubletree. I had some friends at the JW, some at the Lux. I mean, everybody was so spread out that, if I wanted to get some of these people together to do a shoot, because some of them had cosplay from the same
Series?
anime.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be impossible. Really, other than being at the convention, it's well, then I'm going to have to convince somebody to walk over to the Lux, or I'm going to have to convince you to get on the bus and go over and be transported to the Doubletree, or anything. It just became so difficult to actually do any kind of off-site photo shoot, and that's one of the major things I don't like about that location.
Yeah. And, I had to take photos in my own right just as part of the coverage and shoots. And I hated shooting at the convention center this year. The crowding that we discussed was so bad in just about every location. If you weren't the first one at the location, you were stuck at the back of a horde.
Yeah, pretty much. Even, I ran into one of my friends, and she was doing her own imagination of Spyro's, Spyro as an armor piece.
Okay.
Which I'm working on those photos. And they should be ready fairly soon, probably in the next week. But it was, when I found her, she had, I don't know, at least 10 photographers waiting to shoot her. So I stood off on the side with her handler and her fiance, and I was talking with him because I'm friends with both of them. So I had something to do, and she kept looking over to me, and I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. I'll get you when you're done. And the 10 became 20, and then the 20 went to 5, and the 5 became 15. It was insane. And it was everybody in the exact same spot, just kind of queuing up and waiting to get pictures in.
Wow. Crap. It was about the same with me, actually. I did have a couple people who asked me for shoots, and actually this guy dressed up as Matt Murdock from Daredevil, and as we were walking, he would get stopped about every 8 steps for a photo, and I kept telling him, I don't have anywhere else to be. You're the last thing I have to do, so I can be patient. But he kept looking at me as if I was going to start screaming at any given moment.
Yeah,
and
well, I mean, I've been in that situation as a photographer where it's even when I have nothing else to do, it just gets irritating after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and, speaking as a hobbyist photographer, I wish other people would chill the frick out. I found one cosplayer who was sitting on the floor, and she was in this interesting pose in a maid outfit. I snapped a photo, and then there was this girl with short hair and glasses next to me who just says in her best snarky tone, "Did you ask?"
Yeah, see, that's the thing, too. People forget And I'm going to say this point blank, and people might not like me for it. I really don't give a shit. I do not have to ask permission to take a picture of you at a convention. End of
No,
discussion. You are
you're in a
not
public
covered by
locale.
law. You are in a and if you are in the state of California, and other states might be different, but the state of California where Anime Expo is held, you are in a public location. You are at a public event. It does not matter if Anime Expo says I have to ask. I do not have to ask. End of discussion.
It's 100% true. You know, everybody's
By
there
the
to be
letter
fans.
of the
You
law,
know.
the only time I have to ask permission to take your picture is if you are in a private residence. And even then, if it's my private residence, I don't have to really ask you because you're in my home. So really, you guys need to chill out with that stuff. Like, know your local laws. If somebody's being an asshole about it, if somebody's taking an inappropriate picture, feel free to call them out. If someone's just grabbing a quick picture and wandering away because, hey, they like the pose or they like the cosplay, maybe we didn't want to bother the cosplayer who seems to be in the middle of a shoot.
Oh, there's other issues to be involved there. Sure enough, yes, we work for a website that we hope to monetize, but at the same time, if I'm taking pictures, it's not because I think it's going to generate clicks. I just thought, that looks interesting.
Yeah. If I wanted to take pictures that I thought were just going to generate clicks, there is a lot of different pictures I could take, and I know some cosplayers who would pose for those pictures.
Take your clothes off, baby.
Yeah, I'm not looking to take, don't get me wrong. I will take those pictures. I have some friends who want me to take those pictures, and if you go to my Facebook page, you will see those types of pictures. But that's not what I'm looking for this site. What I'm looking for as the convention photographers, I'm looking for, hey, that cosplay's fucking awesome. You look amazing in that cosplay. Let's get a quick picture. That's pretty much it. I'm not looking for the sexy cosplay. Yeah, those sexy cosplays exist, and a lot of them look really awesome, but that's not the goal.
Yep. Absolutely true. Let me see. Actually, speaking of which, let's go ahead and segue into cosplay, because Anime Expo is where a lot of people save their finished, perfected items. You're not going to find a lot of experimentation. You're going to find a lot of people's best and brightest up front.
Yeah, that is very true. It's kind of like San Diego Comic-Con used to be this way, and now it's so big that cosplayers aren't comfortable taking like big finished pieces to San Diego Comic-Con unless they're going to actually take it to the Masquerade.
Right.
So Anime Expo's kind of filled that gap that we have, kind of like PAX Prime does.
Yeah, I was going to say Comic-Con actually deprioritizes cosplay compared to a lot of other conventions, because Comic-Con, despite having the word convention in it, or a shortened version of it, I should say, is primarily a trade show.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and definitely where I'm starting to see Anime Expo drift off to. But yeah, no, Comic-Con is no longer a convention for the fans. Yes, the fans can show there, but it's kind of like saying E3 is a convention. No, it's a trade show. Fans can get into it, but it's a fan. It's not for the fans. It's for people in the industry.
Yep, it's absolutely true. But the cosplay is varied. It is prevalent at Anime Expo. It is eye-catching, but it's just, you don't get the idea that people are just trying to be as different. It's almost like the photographers at Anime Expo. They're more or less trying to generate the most clicks for the most hits for their website by trying to take the biggest, best, brightest items they have.
Oh, it's not even that too. A lot of the photographers I'm seeing lately too will do like really quick edits and that are really sloppily done on their phones and upload them instantly. So it's not even a matter of trying to get the most impressive cosplays photographed. Now it's how quickly can I get this out?
Yeah.
So it's really a sad state of affairs in my opinion. There are a couple photographers who can pull that off, mostly because they've worked their skills to the point where they can get the shot almost perfect in camera, and then they only have a little bit of color correction or something like that to do on their actual phone. But for the most part, most of these photographers who are trying to do it don't have the skill set to do it, and they're probably another 5 years out.
Yeah, I would say at a convention maven like Alex Halcyon, he knows how to make a good phone photo that's pretty well website worthy on the first or second look. But a lot of the people out there, you're right, they're just throwing things up real quick on Facebook and Instagram, and sometimes it makes it a little hard to understand what exactly they were looking at the time.
Like, I can give you a perfect example of somebody who has the skill set, and I don't consider him a photographer. I consider him an artist, okay? There's different levels to it. I'm a photographer. He's looking more of it like an art piece, and that's Martin Wong. If you've never seen Martin Wong's stuff, go take a look at it. You're going to be amazed at what you see. He does some amazing work, but like I said, he has a skill set where he can put almost all of it together in the camera before he actually takes the picture. We'll take the picture, look at it on his phone, and do a small adjustment upload.
Okay.
It's insane what he can do.
Nice. So let's get off this soapbox real quick, because did you visit any panels that weekend, or were you busy with duty?
I was busy with duty, unfortunately. Duty.
Okay.
But no, I spent most of my time, honestly, outside the convention hall just because I didn't trust the crowds to allow me to get into the convention without breaking my equipment. That's how bad the crowds were.
That's fair enough. I was inside the building most of my time there, and I did visit a few panels. And I will say that some of the complaints I've seen online in different websites and in forums is correct. There was a definitive lack of fan-hosted and based panels this year. As you said, the Anime Expo is moving definitively towards trade show. There was a lot more industry presence, which is good for the convention, especially if it's supposed to be the biggest in this country. But unfortunately, when you're adding industry presence, something else has to go. And while the loss of fan panels is lamentable, if you've seen the growth that the convention is trying to spur, it's understandable.
Well, and I think they actually already recognized that, and they're already trying to take at least a small step towards it. If you've been paying attention to the news coming out from Anime Expo, yes, there's already news coming out from Anime Expo. They actually announced next year is going to be one day longer. By adding an additional day, that gives you the option to actually push more fan content in there, because you can kind of stretch everything out a little bit.
Potentially, because what they're doing is the same thing Comic-Con already does. They're adding a preview night. That's what that fifth evening is. What preview night is, for those who don't know, is that basically the convention will open for half of its usual day, say 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon before the convention officially opens. They'll sell a limited number of badges for people to make available. And generally, if they're following Comic-Con's example, that's only going to be the dealer's hall and possibly 1 or 2 video premieres. So it's basically just a chance for people to get in and spend money before everything really kicks off. So I don't think they're going to add more fan stuff. If anything, I think they'll try and jam. I don't think they'll add any new panels if they're following Comic-Con's lead.
You know, that's the thing I'm kind of worried about. If they do follow Comic-Con's lead, it's going to completely turn into a trade show, which, I mean, it's kind of interesting to go to, but it's one of those things, you only need to go to a trade show if you're not in the industry once every couple of years at most. So it really makes me wonder why they're deciding to do that.
Probably because I've noticed that Anime Expo is talking about changing its name. They're also talking about adding a lot more video game and entertainment presence. I don't know if that means necessarily adding like a lot of the Korean dramas, which are in couture with a lot of anime fans lately.
If we're going to talk about what they're planning on doing, I've also heard they're planning to get out of debt finally.
They've been trying that for years. I'll believe it when I see it.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, their plans don't always work out the way they think. And honestly, I think there'd be a fairly big backlash if they moved away from being like an actual convention to a trade show.
It all depends, though, because as much as anime fans may poo-poo that kind of move, anime has not really been at the forefront of pop culture for more than a few years now. It's getting back down to a bunch of hardcores and a few casuals. So they need to find some way to drive attendance, and it does seem like their more generalistic attitude towards Asian entertainment is working in certain degrees.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I can see it going either way. I honestly, personally, I feel like if they go away from being an actual exhibit, like a convention like they've been, it's going to be a bad move. I think what they really need to do to fix the issues they're seeing is bigger convention hall, and then that allows you to get more people in.
You're preaching to the choir there, man. I've been arguing for years that Anaheim or San Diego should be in consideration, but all I'm told when I bring up those opinions is that I don't know anything, and I end up on people's lists and all this other stuff. So,
I can tell you outright, I know a couple people who used to work for Anime Expo, and I don't mean the volunteers. I mean like on the board type of work for them. Yeah, they would agree that AX, to fix its issues, need to actually get their shit together and figure out how they're actually going to treat their customers, which is their convention goers, right?
Well, they also need to figure out how to treat their vendors, because with all the weird policies they introduced in the last 12 months, they pissed off a number of people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Let's move on to the hall itself since we're already talking about vendors. I did note that while they finally used all of the South Hall for the exhibit hall, it seems like they increased the size of tables, so therefore there were fewer businesses actually in the hall.
Yeah, no, I definitely got in there. I got in there on the last day of the convention,
Hmm.
when everyone just kind of casual, no real cosplayers were around, at least not for the beginning of the day. So
Yeah,
I had
people
time
who
to
have
kind
checked out
of
their hotels,
explore.
dragging their entire luggage behind them.
Exactly. Yeah, that which was weird on its own. By the way, if you're in the JW, they offer you bag check. Go use it, okay? Don't drag your stuff to the convention hall. Check your bag.
But if I did that, I wouldn't have the $5 to buy high shoes.
Well, you should. Why do you not have $5 in your wallet? That's what I want to know. Why is your $5? It's free. It's free to check your bags at the JW if you stayed there. Use it, please.
Sorry, I was copying people I keep hearing about. I'm going to live on ramen and ice the whole weekend. Then you don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna live on ramen and ice the entire weekend. So what you're saying is you're trying to kill yourself, because
Pretty
that's
much,
how you
yeah.
kill yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So the last day I was in the convention hall, and I noticed that too. A lot of the booths seemed a lot larger than they needed to be. Some of the booths, granted, actually did need to be increased, and the size was great for them.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of them where like I saw some artists that had their own one, not an artist alley, but actually on the floor, and they were taking up like a very small section of the booth, and that's it. Like,
Yeah, but there was, I mean, the artist was one thing. There were also a lot of double, triple, some quadruple-sized booths taking up a serious footprint on the floor. And I'm not talking about the industry ones that were up front, you know, those
yeah.
6 times wide things that were just meant to increase lines and somehow made this funky choke point right at the frickin' front
you're talking
of the
about
convention hall.
the sellers that are selling like the poster tubes. I saw one. He had to have a booth that was like 4 booths wide. I have no
Yes.
idea why.
Yeah. There were a couple guys who had, like, it seemed like they had booths you were supposed to walk into after you check bags, because apparently they didn't trust you to carry a backpack or anything. But then you were supposed to walk through this mini maze of vinyl figures and models and stuff to be able to get to a full-on cash register so you could buy these things and then walk out, you know, uncheck your bag and then continue shopping somehow. I never wandered into those booths just because I told them, you know, I have $1,000 worth of camera equipment. I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah, I've run into that before at different conventions, not necessarily here. But there was one year at Anime Expo. They told me that I couldn't go into one of the dances, even though I was press, with my camera bag. Like, well, I'm pressed. It's my camera equipment. They're like, oh no, you have to check all of it. Like, I'm not checking a $3,000 camera with you fools.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. This is more than all of you volunteers get paid combined. Literally, because you're volunteering. One of you steals this, and you just got paid for the weekend.
Yeah, the dealer's hall was a mixed bag because while it seemed like there was more going on, there were just larger booths. There were less companies, and I sat down and looked at last year's map. There were less companies actually in the hall, and the layout of the hall leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, they've always had issues with actually spacing out things correctly and making it seem like it flows well and that there's enough room for everybody. So,
well, the mega industry booths up front created a serious problem because there was 2 rows of them, number one. And as we discussed, they're huge. But the first issue is that they staggered them. So you have to take this zigzag course no matter where you start at to get into the actual hall.
mm-hmm.
And then the other problem was because they put all these booths up front and most of these booths had convention exclusives, like, you know, there have been con exclusives at AX before, but this is the first year where just about every one of these booths had a con exclusive that not everyone, a good number of people was lining up for, creating this serious jam of people up front. You know, Comic-Con, when they do that, all those booths are in the middle of the hall. So you've got multiple entry points. You could choose to start in front of these things or start on the outside and just check out the other businesses before you move on to the stuff that requires serious amounts of your time. No, Anime Expo has them lining the entire front section of the hall.
Yeah, you know what? Say what you want about Comic-Con and it being a trade show. The one thing they do well is that they put the big booths off like in the middle of the room or off in a corner somewhere. They're not right where everybody's going to be pouring into the floor because they know that is dumb. You're going to create a giant traffic jam when one of these booths does a giveaway, and they all do giveaways.
Yes.
And you're going to make a huge traffic jam when people stop because they want to see an event that's being planned at the booth, which they all do, or somebody wants to buy, or people want to buy something.
Right.
It's terrible planning.
And if they're going to copy this whole notion that the megabooths have to bring these exclusives every year, they should copy the other notion that Comic-Con has regarding them when they put volunteers in the middle of the section with these booths that are yelling at people, can't stop here, need to keep moving. Can't stop here, need to keep moving.
Yep.
Because people would often stop between these booths and all of a sudden instantly, bam, you can't go anywhere. You either have to shoulder through them or find a way around, which unfortunately there's usually 5 people packed in behind you, so back is not an option.
Yeah, and it just gets terrible, honestly. Like, you always end up running into those sections where you just can't get away no matter what you do, and they never have anybody staffing the areas to actually help people through them. And I don't know if that's because they don't pay their staff whatsoever or because they just don't know what a convention actually is like, but something needs to change.
I'm willing to give it some... I'm willing to give it some benefit of the doubt this year because there's been a major regime change. You know, the CEO, the former CEO, Mark Perez, is out for reasons that are kind of mysterious. Depending on who you ask, he either resigned or he was ousted. This other guy, Ray Chiang, he's the interim CEO, and I think he's a real estate agent by trade. He's never gone to a convention socially, so I don't know what he knows about any of it. Whether or not he's staying is also up in the air.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't know. They did some right things this year, but once again, like you said, it's because they literally can look at last year and be like, okay, where did we screw up?
Yeah.
I feel like they never know how to actually handle a convention or an issue at a convention until it comes up.
I can't argue that. You know, like I said in my written report, I think things were really better run this year. It's like somebody actually gave a crap about what was happening, but it was still... It still felt like it was people who were just discovering the beginnings of where everything needed to actually be to exist where it is.
Yeah. I would expect that from like a small hotel con in its like second or third year, not from somebody who's been around for 25 years and has 100,000 plus attendees.
Yeah. Again, no argument from me. So organizationally, you know, usually if I had to talk about Anime Expo, I just kind of sneer, growl, and start naming off things I have issues with. This year I have less issues with it, but it's still something that needs repairs before things get moving, and hopefully they're actually going to address it before it gets bad. And actually, they have extra time to talk about it now that Kanji's been postponed indefinitely.
Yeah, honestly, Kanji needed to die anyways, but that's a conversation for another time.
Oh, I talked to somebody who used to staff Kanji. She was not happy about that source of conversation.
A lot of people are not happy about Kanji just kind of falling off the face of the planet. The only upside to Kanji was the photography there was awesome back when they actually had it at a decent place.
Yeah.
But ever since they changed, there's not enough attendees. There's not enough interest. It needs to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. No argument. The panels I did visit a few industry panels. I went to the Aniplex panel. That was actually a little disappointing in my opinion. Because for a panel that should have a lot of major debuts about the next, 6 months worth of plans for their shows, most of what I got was trailers of stuff that was already out.
Yeah, or things that are like already so well known that they're coming out that what's the point?
Yeah, and it wasn't even hosted by anybody who identified themselves as a CEO or a director of operations. It was two people, two social mavens, two MCs that they hired to introduce all this stuff. And while I'm not saying they're not fans of the material because it seemed like they understood what they were talking about, it's one of those cases where this was supposed to be one of the huge panels. This was often that Petrie Hall, it sat a ton of people. And this should have been a time for a few of the major bigwigs in the company to sit down and talk to us. No. I got two people I would have felt more comfortable ignoring in their conversations of anime than actually speaking with them,
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's a matter of AX doesn't know what it is yet. It doesn't know if it's a trade show. It doesn't know if it's a convention.
Well, that's not Anime Expo, though. This is Aniplex's panel. Aniplex made the choice to bring these people.
No. But because AX doesn't know it yet, why would Aniplex care to actually bring somebody who's up there? Like at a trade show, like if you're going to have, like, say, if Marvel's going to have an announcement, there's going to be a fucking bigwig there. There's going to be a director. There's going to be a huge cast. There's going to be big people there with big names. Well, that's a trade show. We know people are going to show up for that stuff. This is the first year that AX has kind of started to move more towards a trade show. We don't know if it's actually a trade show or if it's just a convention with a little bit of trade show on the side. We don't know exactly where it is yet. So why would Aniplex go like, oh, we're going to fly one of our directors out there. We're going to have to get him a really nice hotel, all of this other stuff. Why would we do that when we don't know what's going to happen? So let's just put some people in there that we can pay on the cheap and say, screw it.
Okay. I get what you're saying now. You are correct. I just, I was a little disappointed by the turnout to some of the industry panels, though, because as much as a lot of anime fans ignore industry panels at a lot of anime conventions, even though these are the people who make this crap that we're all idolizing, for frank's sake. And I went to the Daisuke panel because it was listed in the schedule as Daisuke / Anime Consortium Japan, and I just thought, okay, what the hell is this? Maybe I'll check it out. I got a free spot in my schedule. I sat down. There was maybe 30 people in there total. And I found it kind of pathetic when I found out that Daisuke and Anime Consortium Japan were the ones responsible for bringing the Anime Matsuri concerts. They're the ones who brought the big name ticket item that Anime Expo was flouting for 6 months.
Well, and I think that kind of falls back to Anime Expo kind of tripping up and failing to publicize things correctly. I had no idea that they brought those concerts to it. Zero idea. Maybe that's something that should have actually been mentioned, a lot. Like, hey, it's because of them that you guys get this.
It really should have been, because Daisuke's panel explained what Anime Consortium Japan is, and it's a consortium of about 12 to 16 companies, including some real notable ones when it comes to anime, like Sueisha, Kodansha, a few others in there. Sorry, they posted the graphic just like once, and I was staring at it. Bushi Road is actually part of it too. And the idea is that all these companies in Japan are getting together to try and figure out how to promote their content to more of a global audience, which is a brilliant idea. And the Animatsuri Japan concerts are their thing. They do a few of them in Japan. They decided that now would be a good time to bring some of them to the U.S. And it felt like they did a lot of work to give Anime Expo this bump in attendance due to these really impressive concerts they brought forward. Mm-hmm. And they got almost no actual credit for the work they did.
Yeah, I mean, that happened with a couple different things from what I heard. I talked to a couple people who, like, there was a singer there who had absolutely zero any publicity from Anime Expo. She basically had to do it all herself, which was not what she was told to do. It's not something you should do for a fairly big name.
Can I ask which singer this is?
One of my friends told me. He's a fan of her. I'd have to find it out again, but she apparently does like a bunch of the like opening songs for animes and stuff like that.
You mean would it be Luna Haruna?
I think so.
See, I found out more about her myself because I had no idea A, how young she was, and B, what series she was in. I met her during the Sphere panel interview.
Yeah, but I mean, apparently it was a huge deal that she was there.
It should have been. She's the one who did the Japanese voice of Asuna in Sword Art Online. And for people who just start moaning when I mention that, first of all, yes, I'm a fan. Secondly, what I like doesn't hurt you. Shut up. And third,
you fucking suck. All of your anime's crap. Not you.
And third, though, she's the one who brought voice, like the very first voice to an iconic character. You would think there'd be more attention paid to this young lady who doesn't just voice act. She sings mightily, too. It's a little sad that she had to go through so much work and self-promotion. It still seemed like people were going, who is this?
Yeah, no, it's disturbing. Like, I had no idea who she was either, but that's because I don't really pay attention to the voice actors in that way. I mean, don't get me wrong, I watch subbed anime almost exclusively. I don't watch dubbed unless I'm forced to watch it. But how am I supposed to know all these Japanese voice actors? I don't even know the fucking American voice actors, other than like when I'm watching something, I'm like, he did that anime too. Like that's it. I still don't know the names for most of these people. Like I can pick from Cowboy Bebop, Spike's voice actor out of an anime. Yeah. No idea what the fuck his name is.
Okay.
So right, I mean, it's really sad that voice actors don't get the recognition they should. It's even sadder that Anime Expos asks one to actually show up and come, and then doesn't actually promote them whatsoever.
Actually, I will give Anthony with this audio, the audio I took during the Sphere interview. Sphere was an interesting supergroup of 4 voice actresses who are also singers who was brought together by their parent company to sing in a group, which is an impressive concept. But again, it was so badly promoted that it was a case where everybody should have known that this type of thing was occurring, but it was still knocked pretty far down the line as far as public interest. I know people were talking about ROE and TM Revolution and, a bunch of Flow, names that everybody knows from different openers. But here are these ladies who are working hard in their own right. One of their records actually hit like number 7 in the Japanese charts. Actually, I think it was number 8. And they seemed surprised when I asked them about it. Like they didn't even know it hit that high.
Yeah, maybe it's something to do with the culture over there. I don't know, but it's just really disappointing that, like I said, they had guests that they invited. Some of these people didn't know that they actually were going to be going because they got invited and didn't hear back until like a week before the convention, which is very similar to the situation I found with my press badge. I didn't know until like 2 weeks before, maybe a week and a half, that I was actually going to Anime Expo this year. So I had canceled all of my plans. I'd gotten rid of my hotel. Everything was out the window. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, you're approved. I'm like, well, shit, now I got to figure everything out.
Yeah. I did visit a few panels. I'm not going to talk as much fun as I had at Cosplay Wrestling Federation. I can only talk about that so many times before people just say he's self-promoting again. So as much as I love it, I will skip that. I did go to the Cosplay Deviant 7th Heaven party that was held in Lounge 21 on the first night.
I tried to go to that and I got turned away.
It was really interesting. We set up a 360-degree camera at the behest of one of their managers at the back of the stage, which was an interesting view. The video is on our YouTube right now. People seem to be digging it as far as I understand. And they were interested enough that they say they'd like us to coordinate more next year, and I'm down for that. I just... it's one of those things where I agree with you. It's a convention that thinks it's a trade show, but hasn't quite figured out how to be a trade show.
Yeah, like the Cosplay Deviant Dance, like that's totally a trade show type thing. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, it is. Like, I mean, okay, perfect example. You go to PAX, any of the Penny Arcade Expos, pick any of them. Prime, South, or East, doesn't matter where you pick, even Australia. What's the one party you're going to have there? Twitch. You're going to have a Twitch after party every single fucking year. Doesn't matter where it's located, it's going to be there because you know what? They're part of the industry and they're going to show up. Cosplay Deviants is part of that industry, whether people like it or not. They are part of that industry, and they're going to show up.
And Lounge 21 actually did host a different company party each night. Cosplay Deviants was night 1. I think night 3 was Square Enix for a Star Ocean premiere of some sort.
Yeah, I remember seeing something about that.
I sat in it for a little bit, but I didn't want to take up room of people who were interested in the game, so I just kind of got the feeling of the room, and then I left. I don't remember what it was night 2 because I was a little busy and I couldn't get away from something. But, Lounge 21 didn't usually have that much use. Usually it was just a place where the adults could go sit down, drink in the middle of the day, and then just kind of leave. It's nice that they're finding purposes and events to hold in the evening.
And didn't they turn the dance from a 21 and up only to everybody's allowed?
They had two separate events every night. There was the general dance that was like 16 or 18 and up, and then they had Lounge 21, which was 21 and up. There were two separate lines every night.
Okay, yeah, because I couldn't figure it out because I was like looking at the schedule and it looked like they were saying that the Cosplay Deviant Dance, which was hosted in Lounge 21, was 18 and up.
Yeah, that was the regular dance.
Which I was just like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Why is it in Lounge 21 if it's 18 and up?
Yeah, the schedule leaves... I do wish they would work a little bit more on the schedule because they often... I don't know if it was the last regime or the current one, but they often under-describe things. They give you a title, they give you a single sentence describing what it is, and then often it really doesn't tell you enough.
Yeah, it's... I mean, unfortunately, as far as I can tell, even on like the actual printed ones, that's exactly how it is. Like if you go through and look, that's one thing Comic-Con has on top, has well above them. Like if you take the Comic-Con one, it's like, that thing's actually like a book for what the guide is.
Oh yeah, it's a small phone. It's a phone book to a small town. I mean,
yeah, like it's like you have a town of like a couple thousand people. That's your fucking phone book right there.
Yeah.
But like, so it's like that though because rather than just getting like the title and like a one sentence that's like I don't know 100 characters long, it's shorter than a fucking tweet. People, okay? Twitter lets you put more description into your tweets than Anime Expo lets you put into your description for the guidebook. So, but with San Diego Comic-Con, it's like a paragraph. Like, you get a paragraph to work with. Whatever you need to put in there. We'll make it work. We don't care.
Yep. Did you go into the entertainment hall at all? I was there shortly a few times.
I did not go. Oh, no, I take it back. I went into the entertainment hall because a couple cosplayers wanted to use the set, like one of the sets they have set up there. I didn't really get to explore it too much, though, because I had to kind of move to another shoot.
Okay, I will say that the cosplay backgrounds finally look a lot like finished backgrounds. You know, just about everything has a flooring. You know, some of them have partial
Some of them.
ceilings.
Some of them. I think they need to put a ceiling on pretty much every single one of them.
Could be. And they did have some variants as to what's in there. You know, they had the Sakura Forest, they had the mausoleum, the was it the performing stage, the idol stage, a nice touch.
That was the Love Live stage. Let's be honest here. Come on.
Okay, it was a nice touch. It really was.
Yeah.
The Sultan's harem thing made me feel a little uncomfortable.
That was a weird one.
Not as weird as the child's room.
Yeah, but the child room's like that traditional like joke room that they've had for years now.
Yeah, but I thought that was where they put the ball pit.
I don't know. I laughed that they actually had a ball pit though. I'm not gonna lie. That was fucking.
It's the second year they've had it, and maybe it's just my patience for stuff like that. But to me, that joke is over. They should get rid of it and put something a little more constructive in there.
Yeah, like the ball pit. I literally can't think of a single series that would actually use the ball pit.
Well, it's a DashCon joke is all it is.
Well, I know, but like, why do we have a DashCon joke? DashCon is dead. It's been dead for a couple of years now. It died pretty much the day it opened up. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The first year, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny the 1 year, but after that, they really should have put in like a sci-fi ship background or something. Mm-hmm. I did wander around it a couple times. The Atasha cars are interesting for me to look at a couple times, but I'm not a huge car guy, so I kind of wandered through it. It seems like the video game section is getting more and more deprioritized. It seems to be getting smaller by the year.
I don't know if it's even so much smaller as they don't have as much variety. And I think also part of the issue with that, though, is so many of the video games are, wait, I actually have to pay to play these video games that you've set up for us to play at a convention that I paid to go to?
I don't think you have to pay. You have to turn in your badge, though.
Some of them you have to pay.
Oh, really?
Unless they've changed it. I know like the Dance Dance Revolution ones were free to play, but like you'd also.
Oh, you're talking about the arcade stuff. I was talking about the console stuff they had set up.
Oh no, I don't even bother with the console stuff, honestly. No, I'm talking about like the arcade style stuff they have set up.
Okay, I was gonna say that I think people may be moving away from that since more and more gaming is done just plain on phones and tablets these days.
Yeah, well, I mean, the console stuff is really hit or miss because you have to be so specific to what somebody wants to play with a console. Being a gamer myself, both PC, console, arcade, phone, you're like I play pretty much across the spectrum. Okay. There's a video game I've probably played it at some point.
I am not making fun of you. I'm just listening, sir.
I'm a giant fucking nerd, and I'm proud of it. Fuck everybody who doesn't like that. Suck my dick. But no, so like between just like me and some of my close friends, there's a huge drift in what we want to play on a console. Mm-hmm. So the idea that the consoles are an actual legitimate way, like unless you're saying like, hey, you can bring your own game in and play it on our consoles, there's no point really. You'd be better off just putting a bunch of like arcade games in there that are set to free to play and having a variety there because there's arcade games everybody will play. Dance Dance Revolution. You can throw in like the Guitar Hero arcade game. Throw in a couple of shooters. I mean, you can cover your bases with that. Why do you need to have a console?
True enough. Let me see. We're running up an hour here. Was there anything like special you did during the weekend you wanted to talk about?
Probably the most awesome thing for me, honestly, was I got to meet a really awesome cosplayer from South Africa. It was the first time she was ever in America, first time she's at an American convention, and she was a blast to hang out with. So, I mean, shout out to her. She definitely made my weekend when I was just hanging out outside and I didn't have anything to do, kind of in between shoots. And I got to shoot with her, and it was just amazing, really. So, Taylor, if you're listening to this, shout out to you. I hope you come back soon.
Nice. Actually, the British guy I mentioned earlier, his name is Ashley. He brought his girlfriend Tara and his two friends Beverly and Amy. They turned out to be really interesting to hang out with, and even though I was nearly twice their age, somehow I kept up with them. It was kind of fun talking to Ashley, especially because he was passing self-denigrating British jokes the same time I was passing self-denigrating black jokes. Mm-hmm. So the two of us would just kind of look at each other uncomfortably when we hit certain notes. It was a lot of fun. And he's actually planning on making like I think, Dragoon armor from Final Fantasy 12.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting involved in something complicated. He's talking about moving out to the U.S. so he can get a degree in animation, of all things.
Yeah, I keep hearing people are like, I'm going to be an animator. I'm just like, why? Why? Do the research, people.
It's his decision. You know, I'm not gonna tell him no.
I'm still gonna judge him for it.
But you know what? I think Anime Expo has to be more honest with itself that it's just not a socially run convention like a lot of other anime ones are. It is an industry convention, and it's one where industry is going to get priority. And I think it's important for the people that go to it also to recognize that it's not really as much of a place to hang out and cosplay anymore. It is a place for you to try and fill in gaps in your collections. It's a place for you to try and figure out or try to understand the creators and the people that actually make it a little bit more. And the fan stuff is just, it's not being shoved wayside, but it's being ushered out because Anime Expo wants this growth.
Yeah, and they need the growth, honestly. I mean, I think we can all agree on it. They need to grow so that they can survive, but they need to figure out the right kind of growth. And like I said, I'm really not sure if moving more towards industry is the right type of growth that they should be looking for.
That's all subjective, and it's all in the eye of the beholder. You know, all we can do is state our opinions as clearly as we can so that people just don't say, well, they said it sucked and that's where it ended. So.
Yeah, honestly, you're right. I mean, personally, I don't want to see it go that way, even though I'm press in industry. It does technically, I'm in the industry. But as a fan, and I think most fans would agree that they'd like to see a convention stay true to its roots and stay for the fans.
Hey, like I said, you know, it's all in the eye of the beholder. So, you planning on going next year?
Depends. Are they going to give me a badge, or are they going to wait until I'm 2 weeks out?
You know, this was the first year in a few that I was actually curious about the following year. Usually when I'm done with Anime Expo, all I can think about is, thank God, now I can go to Comic-Con in peace. This year I actually had some curiosities left over after Anime Expo and some stuff I'm hoping they build on. And I was actually somewhat interested to go next year. I can't say if that was the convention or because I met a new group of people who actually fascinated me outside the convention.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably plan to go back one way or the other, even if I have to like stand outside and just like see some old friends, things like that. But like you said, I mean, I met some really cool people. I want to go back and hang out with them again. Honestly, the convention itself has kind of become a second priority to me, which is kind of sad.
That is concerning because I'm like you. There are some people I met that I would really like to spend more time with. They already made it clear they're going to next Anime Expo. However, I am of the mind, though, that if you're going for the express reason of hanging out with friends, there are several other conventions in Southern California, anime conventions, that are easier for you to hang out with friends at.
Definitely.
So it's all in what your purpose is. If I was planning on buying something, I'd recommend Fanime at this point. If I was recommending being social, I'd probably recommend... That's where I would go with it, yeah.
Yeah, Anime California is probably the more social. And I'm kind of curious, too, to see if maybe we're going to see, like, Fanime is going to be, like, the fan, I'm going to buy my stuff. Anime Expo is going to become the industry party-type convention, and then we're going to see Anime California become pretty much what ALA was. I'm still not sure exactly where ALA is going to fit into this, what with him selling it last year, and that one's still kind of out there. We're unsure. But I think Anime California is going to kind of step more into that role of, like, we're a party con, come and enjoy your friends.
I think Anime California is more set up now to be the party and social con because its location in Anaheim is more central to Southern California. And let alone the hotels out there, because they're right next to Disneyland, they're used to unusual characters running through all hours. I mean, Anaheim is where WonderCon is based. And the last few times I was there for WonderCon, the hotels were so glad to see us. I wasn't even aware they missed conventions that badly.
Yeah, well, you have to remember, too, they're close to Disney, but a lot of people that are going to Disney are going to, if they're going to get a hotel, they're going to stay either in a Disney hotel or they're going to stay at, like, the Motel 6 down the road. They're not going to be staying at one of the actual hotels. So for them, a lot of the business without a convention being there is gone.
That's true. That's true. And I really hope the SPJA, now that they've had a regime change, takes a good hard look at Anaheim and San Diego and does some thought about their future instead of just the next 12 months.
Oh, I was saying this year that they might want to actually look at Anaheim and maybe potentially move there. As much as it would kind of suck for them to leave the downtown LA area because it's kind of cool to be there. it might be a better move for them, as a convention to consider it.
It would cost them, though. They're currently in a contract that locks them in through 2019, I believe.
Yeah, there's probably some way that they can get out of it, but if they can't, they might have to wait until then. We'll see. But, I mean, it's my opinion. Like I said, that's just my opinion. I think it'd be a better fit overall. I think it'd be better for cosplayers and photographers as well. I think it'd give them more room. It just would be a better fit.
Yeah, and the other thing they need to do is something that a lot of the other anime conventions are really hitting up on and that's really stopping ghosting.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. You can never stop ghosting. Even BlizzCon, like the hardest convention to get into, the most uptight company with like what's going to happen, even they can't stop ghosting. They don't even play at BlizzCon.
Yeah, WonderCon actually did a really good job at it, and so did Fanime.
Well, but see, that's the thing. Like, I could go to Fanime and not get a ticket completely fine because I don't need to go inside.
You don't. I'm one of those people that needs to. I need to be able to look around.
Well, but like, even for my role within Mission Star Podcast, I don't have to go inside. I can get the cosplayers to come out to me, especially at Fanime, because there's a couple pockets where cosplayers always gravitate to because that's where the photographers are. So I don't have to ever actually go inside. But after I bought my first year badge for Fanime, and I realized that I spent 99% of it outside, I was like, why did I even buy a badge? I'm never buying a badge again. Even if I come back and I don't have a badge, I'm not going to buy a badge. There's no point for me. And
True.
Fanime, if anybody from Fanime hears that, they're probably going to be angry at me. They're probably not going to want me around. But honestly, we're going to go right back to like the taking a picture of a cosplayer. That's public property. I'm not inside the convention center. Good luck.
Okay. This tangent has been long and deep. So I think we'll leave it there. You've gotten our opinions. I will have Anthony weave in the Sphere audio because, again, they're fascinating young ladies. And I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this little coup of the Conover. Alex, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me the majority of the time on Facebook at Capiture Photography.
Okay. Let's see. Me, I'm on cosplay.com under the screen name Freight. And for Mission Start, I do a weekly comic book related podcast called The Rolling 20s. The next episode we tape is going to be a pre-Comic-Con show because we are going to we're going to try and figure out where we're going to be and how badly we need to duplicate ourselves to be where we want to be. And I think that's about it. Thank you very much. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Anthony should be hosting the next one, and I imagine the next show will be about San Diego Comic-Con 2016.
Or about how badly we fucked this up.
Yeah, the next show will be about how we're all fired. Have a great weekend, people. Enjoy the holidays, and to the people who are out in France and underwent another horrific attack, we are still thinking about you, and we hope as many people as possible manage to get their lives back to normal. Thank you very much, and enjoy the week.
Later.